uses it to compute how far away things are. So if we could artificially create those disparities in a single image, we could trick your brain into seeing depth that isn't really there. That's what an autostereogram does. Every pixel in our depth map tells us this point is z units away. But to hide that depth inside a single image, we need to translate it into a horizontal shift, or disparity. If we imagine our two eyes, or two cameras, each with focal length f and separated by distance b, geometry gives us a simple rule. D equals f times b over z. That's it. Disparity is inversely proportional to depth. And it makes perfect sense if you think about it. When something gets closer, z gets smaller, the eyes have to turn inward more. The difference between their images, d, becomes larger. When something's far away, both eyes see almost the same thing. D shrinks. In our code, we don't care about the actual camera values, so we just write d equals k over z, where k is a constant that controls how strong the depth effect looks. Closer points, bigger shift. Farther points, smaller shift. Now that we know how much to shift each pixel, let's build the autostereogram. We start with a narrow strip of random texture, just a few dozen pixels wide. That's our base pattern. Then we copy this strip again and again across the image. But we don't copy it exactly. We shift each repetition slightly based on the depth at that column. Those tiny horizontal offsets are the hidden disparities that will later make the 3D shape appear. To make this work, we apply a simple rule. Each pixel x is linked to another pixel x prime that represents the same 3D point, as if seen by the other eye. These two positions should look identical. They're two views of the same point in space. So, both pixels get the same color. And as we move along the row, we keep building these pairwise links, making sure the left and right views stay consistent. You might think, wait, what happens when overlaps occur? When 2 points try to map to the same pixel? That's where occlusion comes in. If a nearer surface and a farther one both want the same pixel, we show the nearer one, because in real vision, closer objects always hide those behind them. That's what keeps the geometry believable. When we're done, we get a single flat image that looks like static or random dots, but hidden inside are all those carefully calculated shifts. When you stare at it and relax your eyes, letting each eye drift to focus on a different part of the pattern, your brain fuses the two slightly shifted textures, and suddenly the hidden depth map comes alive. It's the same geometry your brain uses in real life, but reversed. Alright, now that we understand how it's made, let's flip the process around. What if we only have the final image, just the dots, and we want to reverse the process to recover the original depth map mathematically? All we need to do is figure out how much each part of the image repeats or shifts. In other words, we want to rediscover the disparity values. Here's how. We take one horizontal row of the image. Pick a small window, call it A. Then take another window, B, and slide it horizontally across the row. For each possible shift S, we measure how similar the two windows are. If the autostereogram was built correctly, there will be one particular shift where the patterns line up perfectly. That's the same shift D that was used when generating it. To measure how similar they are, mathematicians already have a tool for this. It's called correlation. It measures how similar two signals are when one slides past the other, how well they line up at every possible shift. In our case, those signals are just the pixel patterns inside the two windows.
No mames, esto me sirve para Minecraft.
As B slides across A, we calculate how much their ups and downs agree. When they line up, the correlation spikes. That's the best match. You can think of it as the overlap score between the two signals. How mathematicians derived its exact formula is beyond this video's scope, but it'll make sense once you see how it behaves. Here's the actual formula we'll use, called normalized cross correlation, or NCC. Subtracting the means removes brightness bias. Dividing by the standard deviations normalizes contrast. What's left is the shape similarity, a value between -1 and +1 that tells us how well the two textures match at each shift. As B slides across A, we compute NCC for every shift. Plot those values and we get a correlation curve. There's usually one clear spike. That's where the windows align best. We take the shift at that peak as our disparity. That's the same shift the generator used. We've just rediscovered it. We repeat that for every pixel in every row. Each cell now stores its best matching shift. Large disparities mean near objects, small ones mean far. Once we have disparities, we convert them back to depth using the previous relationship. Depth is just the inverse of disparity. You might notice the recovered depth looks grainy. That's expected. Each pixel's disparity comes from a small window. If the texture inside isn't distinct enough, multiple shifts give almost the same score. That uncertainty turns into random jitter. Even slight brightness noise can nudge the correlation peak by a pixel or two. It still follows the overall shape, but fine details dance around. And look closely at the borders. The left and right sides are always messier. That's because near the edges, our correlation windows can't fully fit inside the image. With fewer overlapping pixels, the correlation becomes unstable. Those incomplete windows produce unreliable disparities, so many algorithms simply crop a small margin on both sides. Edge noise isn't a bug, it's just the math running out of image.
Nadie está hecho para levantarse a las 5 de la mañana y viajar hora y media a un trabajo mal pagado. Mejor cambia de carrera y estudia eso que...
Cállate la verga. No, sí creo que sí, ya lo vencí en el siguiente. Pero no tenía lo suficiente para vencerlo en este, ¿no?
Te traerá una tormenta de experiencias inolvidables. Lucha en los cielos, asalta posiciones enemigas en tierra o envía a tus enemigos al fondo del océano. Todo en un solo juego. Prepárate para un realismo incomparable. Desde los más pequeños detalles técnicos hasta los efectos de sonido más auténticos. Sentirás el calor de cada explosión y el peso de cada victoria. Deja atrás las barras de salud. En War Thunder cada proyectil puede ser decisivo y un disparo puede cambiar el curso de toda una batalla. Lucha en lugares de todo el mundo, desde África hasta Alaska, utilizando tecnología militar de más de 100 años. Desde las clásicas cortinas de humo hasta los más modernos dispositivos de visión térmica y misiles con radares activos. Velocidad, tácticas y adrenalina en estado puro. Todo esto te espera en War Thunder, donde solo prevalecen los verdaderos héroes. Descarga War Thunder gratis en PC, Xbox y PlayStation.
By the way, computing all these shifts by sliding windows can be slow. There's a beautiful shortcut from signal processing, the convolution theorem. It says that sliding and summing in space is the same as multiplying in frequency. So we can use the fast Fourier transform, or FFT. We take both signals, in our case they're the same image row because we're comparing it to shifted versions of itself, convert them to the frequency domain, multiply one by the complex conjugate of the other, then take the inverse FFT to get every correlation value at once. Since it's the same row correlated with itself, that's an autocorrelation. For small rows, sliding is fine. For large images, FFT can be much, much faster. So now we've come full circle. When creating an autostereogram, we start with a depth map, convert it into disparities, and then use those disparities to generate the final image. When decoding it, we start from that same image, measure correlations to recover the disparities, and finally reconstruct the original depth map. Both directions follow the same geometry, the simple inverse link between disparity and depth, and the power of correlation to find alignment. Depth gives rise to disparity. Disparity gives rise to the image, and correlation brings the depth back. What once looked like random dots now becomes a 3D form floating behind the screen. A shark, a horse, a message, each point recovered through math, not by guessing, but by pattern alignment.
Y no mames. Pero con la música, güey, de cuna, güey. Es que era guerrero, no era vieja.
And this last one, this autostereogram hides a special message. If you can relax your eyes and see it, it says, like and subscribe. The perfect illusion, now revealed by math. An autostereogram isn't just a clever optical trick. It's a small window into how perception and computation overlap. Our eyes capture flat images. Our brain compares them, matches patterns, and from that, it builds depth. With the right code, math can do the same, seeing structure hidden in randomness. Sometimes, the world only looks chaotic because we haven't found the right way to look yet.
Please. I'm not pleasing anyone, motherfucker. Honestly, I'm not pleasing anyone. That's enough joke for now. ¿Ves? Con el power ese sí le sacas cartas chidas. Pero para hacerle un técnica de ese, güey. Sí, pero... Tracas, mi gente. Oh, entonces sí, güey. Oh, no. Esto me cargó. Y no lo puedo voltear. Nada, unos trapitos, pa. Unos trapitos. No. Qué pendejada acabo de hacer. O sea, uy, sí, sí se podía. Que fue Power Wave. Power Vive. A ver, preséntame. Interesante. tu puta madre. Déjate. Creo que este puto viejo que daba cartas bien loca. Ok, esa no la tenemos. Ese es el abuelo, ¿eh? El abuelo es quien tiene Exodia, ¿no? No, güey, me va a dar la otra ruca, la que tiene defensa y no me sirve. Y por mamón, güey. Liada en vez de Mayo y nada. Bastardo, el abuelo tiene unas cartas, Si no, el tiempo que te tardas en elegir. Contra el abuelo andarle fuera. Me faltaron 300. ¿Qué pasó? No, pues es que también Power B, pero de 750 para un Power C, güey. Ah, chinga, a ver, espérate. Son 4200. Más 2800. Un 6. En cambio, 4200 más 2300. 900. Sí, ya me siguiente pregunta. No eran 7, ¿no? No eran 6, eran 7. Ah. Ahora sí, Powerade, ¿no? Al menos. Al menos. A ver, vamos a dejar el pinche bueno. No mames, ahora sí no me pusieron fusiones los hijos de la chingada. A su madre. Power A. Es que cómo puede pasar de Power S a Power Beat en un solo turno, güey. En medio turno, ¿no? Uy, les dije, güey, el abuelo da buenas cartas. Ahora sí lo voy a guardar, güey. Uno de estos pendejos era el Joey. Joey da también al Baby Dragon y da... O da al Mago del Tiempo, el Joey, ¿no? A ver, este hijo de perra también está bien difícil, ¿no? De ganarle. Sectarian Fire. Dancing Power Blast. Adiós, Tainted Wisdom. Ay, cabrón. Pues este güey sí está desconectado, ¿no? El abuelo. No mames. Si el abuelo da cartas chidas, entonces ya hace fusiones. Es porque entonces el abuelo es ganarle con Technical S, güey. Verga. Sí, lo que estaba sospechando, ¿no? Bueno, ¿qué es Saturno? Un Júpiter. O sea, sí, si hubiera puesto esta. Qué mamada, güey. No, no, sí. Está mal. Déjate. Toma mierda. No, casi la cago. Marte, güey, ese canal era Marte. Déjate. si no la cago. No sé, restaurante. No. Ya valió, verga. Es guerrero, pero también es un huevo, ¿no? Pudo haber sido ese. Dieciséis. Y doble. Bueno. Ay, sí, se me... Ya me aburrí. Vamos a ver esta mamada, nada más para que... Pinche gente.
Esto decide hacer un dash hacia atrás para esquivarlo. Lo que no esperaba es que el japonés también lo sabía.
Qué horrible. Mr. Glitch. Ya dio la vuelta, ¿no? Ya, quítalo, ya. Quítalo. Rápido, quítalo. Ya sé que quiero un huevito. Big Mad Screen.
Sorry for the lack of videos, everyone. I just had some stuff to work. And I haven't been sleeping super well, and just haven't found the time. Yeah, I try to record my videos when my roommate's not in the room, so a little bit hard when it's the weekend, so there's not much to do, and I'm tired, and I've just got work to do. Because whenever he's out, I got stuff to do. But whenever I don't have anything to do, he doesn't have anything to do either, so it's just kind of unfortunate. I do have a lot of footage from different things, but I'm going to try and be making some videos. The Kingdom of Madness solo raid is back, and it is 2 weeks and 5 days, so it's longer than a standard solo raid, which I think is a pretty good indicator that there is going to be some kind of big update. I don't know about DC Universe Lex Luthor yet. It looks pretty... I don't want to say it's confirmed, but it does look pretty likely that we will be getting a DC Universe Lex. At the very least, we're going to be getting some kind of big update. There's something about the Solo Raid Premium mode. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Apparently, they're trying to test whether or not they... it's worth making a new solo raid. Also, I hate this dude. Why? I'm trying to bait him into attacking me, because I know that if I rush forward, then he's just gonna block and be annoying. But the game just won't distance close, and he keeps backing off and going into ranged attacks. Yeah, I mean, literally the only reason that this is what I'm using against this team, or against this boss, is I just went, oh, I'll just put DC Universe Superman versus Batman Who Laughs in the thumbnail. Two popular characters, though I don't really think Batman Who Laughs deserves it. I despise the Batman Who Laughs. I just think he's basically what Zack Snyder would imagine. An edgy, over-the-top, overpowered, cringy, 13-year-old power fantasy. I like my characters with nuance, so, you know, Kara's my favorite character. Woman of Tomorrow is my favorite comic. I think Raven's a really fun character, because you can do a lot with, as my one commenter said, a goth girl with daddy issues. But beyond that, like, that kind of internal conflict makes for some really interesting dynamics. Jessica Cruz is another character. Constantine, Zatanna, like, those are the characters I gravitate towards. I like nuance, I like storytelling. I don't like whatever the hell the Batman Who Laughs is. Owlman did it better, by the way. I think someone on YouTube did a video about why the Batman Who Laughs doesn't work, but Owlman does. I would recommend watching that video. I forget who it is. You can search it. It's got a couple million views. You'll find it. But yeah, Batman Who Laughs, the sub boss here, he does like two things. He goes through two modes. One of them is he does dot and you slowly lose health, but something happens, and the other is you constantly get your power drained, but nothing. I don't know. I forgot to read the things. I just knew that he went through two phases, and I was like, I'll be fine. I mean, luckily I got the. I just stayed in the power drain cycle because Grodd's gonna give me infinite power generation. You did see a little bit of issues there.
They make it boring, bro.